I wanted to think about training in the gym in the context of attaining an aesthetic body this way. Each workout acts like a quest in a video game. After finishing it, depends on the quality of it, you gain some experience points. If the workout was extremely bad, you didn't follow any of the right principles for building muscle, you didn't gain any XP points, you just regret. On the other side, if you did everything correctly and the workout was amazing, you gain a lot of XP points afterwards from it, and as the time goes on, as you go to more workouts and you train and you do it for weeks, months, years, you gain enough XP to level up, you attain an aesthetic body. You go and you perform each workout correctly, that's the micro. In the grand scheme of things, if your workout plan is designed in a pretty good way, in a decent way at the very least, then you will start to see continuous progress, you will make a lot of progress, and long term, as everything will compound, you will get an amazing body. Here's the thing, when you perform each workout correctly, you basically cause everything to compound faster, you'll see more progress in less time, and by extension you get in shape faster. That's everything in the context of working out. Of course a diet matters, of course sleep matters, for sure. There are pretty much 3 micro principles, so when it comes to each of the workouts, that by implementing in each one of the workouts, you will be able to gain a lot of experience points and see a lot of progress by extension. I am about to cover them, but before that I wanna talk about one very important thing. So we've talked about how the micro, each one of the workouts translates into the macro. The macro is essentially the training plan, and before we go over what are the training principles that will allow you to get in an amazing shape, I want to talk about one different thing, and it is about discipline. Because even if you will know everything, all of the principles for both micro and macro, if you won't be disciplined enough to implement them, if you won't actually go to your workouts on a weekly basis, to each one of them, you will not actually see a lot of progress. The first thing that I needed to realize before everything else is that without actually implementing the knowledge that I'm about to give you, you will not see any progress. Of course, knowing things is sweet, of course it helps to some extent, but at the end of the day, implementing it is more important, because not going to your quests in that video game is just being idle, right? You see no progress, and in the context of building muscle, after being idle for a few days, for a week, you start to regress, right? So that's what I needed to realize before everything else. And now here are the 3 principles. The first one is, so this one is pretty much the most important one, and it is the law of specificity. Before everything else, you need to actually train in a way that allows you to build muscle. So let's look at a video game. Let's say that the character that you have in this video game have a few domains in which it can improve on. Strength, intelligence, whatever, right? Let's say that strength is being an aesthetic body IRL. You need to do the quests that actually give you experience point in the realm of strength. If you will go and perform only quests that give you experience points in the realm of dexterity, you will not build an aesthetic body. You will build dexterity. You will not get stronger, right? So the first thing, this is the law of specificity. That's essentially what it is. In the context of getting an aesthetic body, it is about performing resistance training. The kind of training that you go and you perform a few sets per exercise for a few reps, 5 to 20, and you do it 3, 4, 6 times per week. So once we have addressed that you need to train in a way that allows you to build muscle, resistance training done consistently on the muscle that you want to grow, we get to the second principle, the intensity. It is the micro version of the macro principle of progressive overload. Essentially, to build muscle, you need to consistently get stronger in the exercises that you perform. The only way, after a certain point, to get stronger in an exercise is to eat a good diet, to sleep, and to train intensely. This video is about the working out side of things, so I won't cover dieting and sleeping, but essentially, if you want to build muscle, after the first few months of just getting to know how to perform the exercises, learn technique, and progressively getting stronger, so after that point, you will need to train intensely. Because think about it like this, at first you might start with very low weights, you will learn the technique, you will perform the very easy quests But then after you will gain enough experience points, the quests will become harder, progressing will become harder, each quest will give you less experience points, and because of that you will need to be pushed to your limits more times. That's what intensity is all about. It's about going and training close to muscular failure, to the point in which you can perform another rep. How close, the more towards the beginner phase you are, the less important it is, but we want to get to at least an IR, reps and reserve, proximity to failure, of between 5 to 1 to 0 sometimes. For most people, I would suggest training with an intensity of between 4 to 1 reps away from failure. How do you know? In quests, in video games, it is about how many health points you lose. In the gym, it's about how much you slow down in the concentric part of the movement. If you slow down to the greatest degree, that's failure. If you slow down a lot, that's close to failure. That's around an IR of 1 to 2. If you start to slow down, but you still go pretty fast, that's an IR of between 5 to 3. You want to go for most of your sets to an IR of between 4 to 2. That's what most studies suggest. I might reference some studies in the description, I don't know, but let's go over the next principle. And this one is the technique principle. It is about making sure that... So there are two aspects to technique. The first one is about making sure that you target the right muscles, the muscles that you want to grow, and the second one, it is about reducing the risk of injury to the greatest degree. So the first aspect is the more important one for hypertrophy, for building muscle, because it's just in, let's say in the video game, it is that you actually do the right quest. It is that you actually go and you perform the right quest. It's about making sure that you target the right muscles. That's part of the law of specificity, but I think that it is also part of technique, because it is. And then there is the second one, it is about minimizing the risk of injury. This is about making sure that you gain as much hypertrophy for as little work as possible. How do you do it? You slow down more in the eccentric part of the movement a bit, you control the weights, that's one of the most effective ways to reduce the risk of injury. You also go and you don't put too much weight on the bar, you reduce the weight, and you might even reduce the speed on the eccentric, just so it becomes harder with less weight, which will reduce the risk of injury. And there is also the aspect of performing the movement in the right way and making sure that no smaller muscles get involved with lifting compound exercises. For example, if you go and you bench press, you don't want to put most tension on your shoulder, because you might get injured. It is a lot of weight. It increases the risk of injury by a long shot. So that's another aspect. Is about learning a good technique, controlling the eccentric, and making sure that you don't put too much weight on the bar, so you won't fuck yourself up, basically. And that's essentially it. By progressively getting stronger, by implementing all of these working out principles and being disciplined and going to most of your workouts, you will build a lot of muscle. And if your diet on top of that will be on point, and if your recovery will be on point, your calories, your protein, the sheer amount of sleep that you have per day, you will get in an amazing shape. And that's essentially it. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.